Welcome, all you beautiful faces. Welcome to our first team call of September 2015. Craziness. I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm so excited about September. I don't know if any of you guys are nearly as excited as I am, but I don't know. I felt like the month clicked over, and I felt like I woke up one morning, and I live in Florida, so we don't really have fall, but we had a less hot breeze as normal mornings, and it kind of reminded me of fall. And then I got excited, and then I saw that PIO and 3-Day Refresh were on promotion, and I was just like so excited. I felt like this is a fresh start, a new month, the first month of that ushers in like my favorite time of year. All of my favorite things are coming up, so I am really excited. I am going to try so hard to honor our time on this team call and wrap it up in a fairly decent time. So please forgive me if I talk really quickly because I have a lot of stuff I want to say. So September, if you guys have been on Facebook, you know I was blowing up our team page with things for this month. I actually made us a new team calendar, which I haven't had the time to do in a while, so I'm really excited about that. If you're new here, the team calendar is just kind of like a guide to everything that's happening in our team, and it has a lot of stuff on it, so don't freak out. Everything in yellow is just suggested prompts for things to post or talk about. You don't have to follow them. It's just to help you if you get stuck with your creativity, or if you just need some ideas and want to brainstorm off of it. Kind of a good mix of good timing with the things that are happening in the company, as well as a balance of talking about the business and health and fitness. So hopefully that helps you guys. We have a lot of stuff happening in September. Just like I've been saying over and over again, like September is back to school, back to healthy habits. It's kind of back to routine in our team now that summer's over, everybody's back, everybody's kids are back in school, trips are over, and now I feel like we can get back to kind of the routine and rhythm that we had in our team in the spring. So you'll see on our calendar, I have a week to Emerald training that's going to happen starting, when did I put it? Labor Day, starting on next Monday. And then right after that, that'll go right into a Emerald to Diamond training. So this will be open to anybody in the downline. But if you are a coach that is inviting your own coaches into it, the only thing I ask is that you contribute in some way. So if that is you, just get in touch with me and let me know that you want to help and that you're going to be adding coaches to it, and I will find a job for you to do. And then we're going to be doing this really fun team refresh. So I posted a video about it in the team page. I don't want to talk too much about it here and eat up a lot of time, so go watch it if you're curious. But basically, I'm inviting everybody to do a 3-day refresh with me in smack dab in the middle of the month as a way to just kind of reset and reboot coming off all the holidays and all the summer stuff. I know a lot of us have been struggling with our own progress, just getting a little derailed in the summer, maybe feeling a little bit embarrassed about it or not having a good progress photo to show, and that's affecting your ability to kind of reach new people and get a bunch of challengers. So problem solved. We're going to do the 3-day refresh, and within 72 hours you are going to have a new after photo to share. So I'm really excited about this. I also tied a fun little giveaway into it, so if you want the details on that, then you can go watch the video. Really excited. And is that everything I had to say for September? Let me think for a second. I think it was. I'm excited. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking to you guys about building without burnout, which is something that, this is so funny to me. So let me back up and tell you the story of all of this. I think you guys, I don't know if you guys remember me talking about this book, The Fringe Hours, that I picked up from Target just because I liked the cover. And I was talking about how that was really the only reason why I picked it up, and I started reading it. It was pretty good. And you want to know the funny thing about this is I was so cocky when I got this book. I was like, I don't need time management help. Like, I'm fine with time management. I have my time managed, okay? Like, this book is not going to be for me. This book is going to be for me to be able to learn how to talk to other people about time management. That's the cocky attitude I had in my head when I got this book from Target. And it has been such a interesting journey since I picked it up because, oh my goodness, what is happening with my Facebook? Ding, 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 ding. Sorry. There it goes again. You guys go yell at Bonnie Engel. That is her blowing up my messages. Be like, stop, you're dinging on our team call. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but I don't really believe in coincidences. I think that coincidences are, especially when they happen over and over and over again, like a pattern, I think that it's something we're supposed to pay attention to in life. It's like the universe trying to get a message through to us, right? Like we're so inundated with stuff all day, every day that it's hard for us to like pay attention to anything. So when I start to see things or topics or situations start happening over and over and over and over in my life, it like sparks a little something. I'm like, oh, maybe I should pay attention to whatever that is because it keeps coming up like out of nowhere. And this kept coming up out of nowhere, like this time management thing. And I kept thinking in my head, like, I don't have trouble with time management. I don't know why this keeps coming up. So first it was this book, right? And then it was some of the top coaches that I respect talking about how they were feeling so tired and run down. And I was like, why would you be feeling tired and run down? Like you're the pinnacle of success. Like you should have no trouble, right? And then I saw a post by a really successful coach who was talking about how she had just been overworking herself, and she's one of the top earners in the Bombshell Dynasty. And she even went so far as to say, if I could go back and do it differently, I would have gone slower and I would have taken less money. I would have built slower. So I would have just not gone as fast, not trying to earn as much money as fast for the sake of my own, well-being and not being frazzled and stressed out all the time. And then, like seeing other coaches kind of like struggling with people on their team dropping out because they were just so overwhelmed. And then, I don't know, it was just all these circumstances, like bam, 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 bam. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is something I'm supposed to be paying attention to. And ever since I started paying attention to it, I've never felt more like in line with exactly what I was supposed to be focusing on right now. And I'm so passionate about it. And I really want it to get through. I've been talking about it here and there on different team calls and in different things in our team. But I'm really excited to talk to you tonight officially about it, building without burnout. So it is my vision for our team that we are a top team. I have no doubt that we could start 2016 with a bid for top 10. Like I have no doubt in my mind that can be an easy reality for our team if we want to do it. But what I don't want to happen is for all of us to build our businesses in an unhealthy way where we get to next year and we maybe accomplish all these things, but we're all miserable and working ourselves into the ground and sick, and our personal lives are suffering and our relationships are suffering, but we've got a lot of money and a lot of rank, so that's cool. Like that's not cool to me. That's not what I want for us, for me, for you, for our team as a whole. So I think that all of these messages were coming to me because we are not at that point of danger yet, but we will be soon. Like we will be at that point where it could be a make it or break it point. And if we learn now, because we're still a really young team. I mean, I'm only a 2-year-old coach. So even the oldest coaches on my team are 2 years or less into coaching. Like that's really young in the grand scheme of Beachbody. So we have an incredible opportunity to learn from other people's mistakes that came ahead of us that are older than us as in their team and in their coaching business, and not make the same mistakes. So if we can pay attention now and we can look and we can go, okay, where did they go wrong? Like, what are they telling us they would have done differently? And then humble ourselves enough to not say that we know better and to say, okay, we're going to learn from this and we're going to be better because of it. So I'm really excited about it. And I think that it's something that if we start doing now, we'll set ourselves up all through the fall, all through the holidays with really great, healthy business habits. And we will just crush 2016, but in a way that no other team is doing, because we're going to do it in a way where we're all like relaxed in our businesses. We all feel great about what we're doing. We're happy. We're feeling personally fulfilled as well as fulfilling our desire to help others. And it's just going to be wins all around, like wins left and right. That's what I want. Like all we do is win. That needs to be our 2016 theme song. So today we're going to be talking about building without burnout. And my first thing that I want to admit is that I don't really believe in balance. And I said this a couple times in our team page and people like got a little upset with me for saying it, but I don't. I really don't believe in balance at all. I think that, and I mean, I believe that balance is a thing. Like, I'm not saying that balance doesn't exist. I'm just saying, like, the concept, everybody's always, it's so sexy now to talk about being in balance and work-life balance and all this kind of stuff, and all the self-help gurus, you know, they have all these guides to how to be more balanced. But I really think that it's an unattainable thing to work for, because I think for most of us, what we think of in our head as balance is really perfectionism, and that's impossible, right? Like, we can't do it all. So one of an author that I really, really appreciate her work, her name is Callie Yost, and she actually has a couple books out about this topic of balance, but she doesn't actually like to say the term balance either. She kind of has a similar mindset to me. And what she, oh my goodness, Bonnie, I'm gonna just go crazy. I can't even handle how many dings there are. I apologize, you guys. Yost, Y like yellow, O like orange, S like Seinfeld, T like tree. Those are the most random words to come up with for letters. I don't know the nautical alphabet. I don't know all of the, or whatever the military one is. Callie Yost. Oh my goodness, they're chatting so much. Okay, she says that she likes to use the term work-life fit, which I love that. Like, I just love how that sounds better. A fit instead of a balance, right? These things have to fit together like puzzle pieces. A work-life fit. So a work-life fit is a life that fits with what you need, since balance is kind of impossible, right? So another person that I highly respect and love, her name is Danielle Laporte. I don't know if you guys know who she is. She has a blog and an app and a lot of books, and she's really cool. And she gave me a really incredible quote that kind of reaffirmed what I felt about balance, and then gave me like a really great perspective about it. So I asked her, I got to interview her a while back, and I said, tell me about imbalance. And Danielle said, I burn a lot of omelets. It's a regular occurrence. I'm drawing robots with my kid. I'm jotting down an idea I don't want to lose. I'm taking the call. And then the smoke alarm goes off. I quote unquote work on holidays. Last Monday, I stayed in bed and read all day. I send birthday gifts 3 months early or 3 months late, but it's always exactly the right gift. I can eat cereal every day for a week, wearing the same clothes, never leaving the house because I want to finish a book I'm writing. I like last minute trips out of town and not answering my email for days. The last time I was at a monastery, I tweeted about it. This is not a balanced life, but it works for me. And the more I pursue my passions, the more uncomplicated my life gets, actually. There's not much in my life that I resent. And if resentment builds, I'm swift to get it off my plate. It's not the imbalancedness that stresses me. It's doing meaningless things that aren't taking me where I want to go. And I loved that, because that, I think, is what it's all about, right? Balance is whatever makes you feel happy and fulfilled. Balance is not this idea of having a perfect house and doing your 3 vital behaviors and having your power hour be exactly 1 hour and getting everything done and having dinner on the table and a clean house and your hair styled and all of these things. That is what we all think balance. And then also like going to yoga and being effortlessly chic and toned and drinking Starbucks every day because that's what everybody on Instagram is doing, and how are they still looking so awesome? It's like all of these crazy ideas that we have about what balance looks like for people. No, it's not possible. That's exactly the problem. And we have these crazy ideas about what balance looks like for people, and it's just this unattainable idea of perfectionism. So, like so many other people, but I think women especially, I think we deal with this kind of on a higher level. For some reason, we do it more to ourselves. I personally realized that I believe that I'm failing, that I'm a failure if I'm not performing at an unattainable level of perfection. Let me say it again, because this was like an aha moment when I actually realized it. I, like so many other women, I realized that I feel like I'm failing if I'm not performing at an unattainable level of perfectionism. So for me, I realized that I was either a complete failure or 100% perfect at all the things I was trying to do, right? Like there was no in between. It was like if I wasn't perfect, which is what I thought balance was, then I was a horrible failure and I couldn't do anything right and maybe I should give up, right? Like it's struggle street. Like you feel like you're on struggle street the whole time. So that was a really clutch moment for me. And I found this quote in this book called The Fringe Hours that I really loved, that I thought was the perfect visual example of this idea that I want to communicate. And it is from a story about a music technician, like for recording and stuff, like a recording technician. My friend Karen says that life is like a soundboard. When the music is mixed, the sound technician needs to adjust the levels to make the music sound its best. If one person or instrument needs to be really loud, everything else can't be too loud because then the board can't handle it, and more importantly, the music won't sound its best. The same is true in life. If one thing is dominating during a particular season, that's okay, as long as adjustments are made to the other areas. Without those adjustments to reduce the volume, distortion and chaos will result. But if you make those adjustments, your life song will bring the most beauty and pleasure possible to both you and the people listening. I thought that was so good. So that sounds a lot like what Danielle told to me. Doesn't that sound like you guys? Like there may be times when one instrument in your life has to be really loud, whether that's your family, whether that's your coaching because you're pushing for a goal, whether that's your house, whatever it is, and that's okay as long as you just adjust the other levels. You can't expect to maintain high volume across your soundboard. You can't. It's going to make your music sound horrible, and nobody wants to listen to bad music. Not you either. That's what's going to make you feel miserable. I love that example, and I thought it was the perfect example of a lack of balance being what we actually really need instead of balance. Okay, moving on. So I want to tell you guys a little story about as I was paying more attention to these things and realizing that I really did not have it all together and that there was a reason that I was having this keep coming up in my life. So I have worked since 2008. So for, what is that? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, almost 8 years as a self-employed photographer. So our household income was coming from photography. So that was it. Like that was what I did. And I started it in 2008 and I built it up from nothing to whatever it became. And that whole time, Nate and I, we were just dating when it started. Actually, we were like just fresh new relationship when it started. And it was like my baby, right? I had come off of a huge life transition, coming out of college, leaving a big relationship, saying goodbye to a lot of toxic friendships in my life. And so I felt like this photography business was like my baby because it was like this new thing and I wanted to like prove myself to the world and, you know, all of this stuff. I wanted to prove that I was a success and that I hadn't like made a wrong decision by deciding not to get a real job after college and all of these things. So I worked like crazy on it. And Nate and I would argue because he would say that I was working too much, not paying attention to him, and I was letting like, you know, my life responsibilities fall apart. And I would say, well, you're just not as motivated or as driven as I am, so you can't understand. And we would have these arguments back and forth and back and forth. Okay, somebody's at my door, and I have a feeling it's a toddler. Oh, it's T. That's even better. So I would have these arguments back and forth and back and forth. So a couple of years ago, thanks, baby. You made me tea. Coffee. Thanks. A few years ago, when I started coaching, I was like, problem solved, right? Like, because I'm kind of sassy in our relationship. And I was like, he's not going to be able to say anything to me now because now I'm not working on photography as much. He's not going to be able to tell me I'm a workaholic, that I work too much, that I'm not paying attention to stuff. And guess who had the same exact arguments all over in their life? Me. We had the same exact relationship arguments. And I would get so frustrated because I was like, am I living in 2009? Did I hop into a time machine? Like, what is happening in my life and my relationship that I'm living like on this loop of the same fights and the same complaints all the time? And I had to really start paying attention to myself because I was like, all right, well, I am the common denominator here. Like, maybe it is a problem with me and not with everybody else. And I realized that I have it's been my whole adult working life since 2008, pretty much when I graduated college, have used work as a crutch. I've used my career as a crutch to find value in myself. So I realized that when I am able to have some sort of career success, I feel good about myself. I feel like I am of value as a person. I feel like people think that people respect me, people think that I'm good at something. And so that adds to like my value as a person, my self-confidence, all the stuff. And I was like obsessed with it because I didn't feel good if I wasn't making some sort of progress. And so what I called being motivated and driven was really just me being insecure and me needing to find a way to make myself feel better. So that was a huge aha moment for me. And because of that, I would work really, 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 really hard, like burn like fireball, like supernova, and then I would flame out, right? Because you can't sustain that sort of pace. And at that same time, everything in my life would fall apart. I'd be so hyper-focused on one thing, whether it was getting our photography featured on something or published somewhere or getting a certain venue or planner to exclusively want to refer to us or whatever the goal was. And then once it was coaching, it was, you know, like getting to Emerald and then getting to Diamond and getting to a certain income a week. And I was very like goal motivated because when I hit those goals, it was like this little surge of like dopamine in my brain where I was like, oh, that feels good. I feel good about myself. And I had to realize that that was not balanced. That was not okay. And I would find myself in danger all the time of this burnout, right? Because you flame, and then you crash. And then all of reality like crashes in around you. Like all of a sudden you look around and you like haven't showered in 72 hours and you have no clean laundry. And like you have 18 messages from your friends that are like, are you still alive? Why aren't you texting me back? Like all of reality, you have like bills that are paid, people calling you, telling you missed things. And it's like, oh my goodness. Like I have not been paying attention to the things I need to be paying attention to. So I realized that I was pushing for this unattainable level of perfection, right? And that if I didn't hit that, I felt miserable about myself. Well, then I started to question, where do we get this unattainable level of perfection, this idea of balance, right? Like where is it coming from in all of our lives? Like who told us what balance looks like? Because if you really think about it, balance can't really look like anything across the board because all of us have such different lives. Some of us have kids, some of us don't. Some of us are married, some of us aren't. Some of us have pets, some of us don't. Some of us own a home, some of us don't. Like there could be no across the board balance that made sense for everybody. And so I was like, well, where's it coming from? And it dawned on me that Pinterest is lying to all of us, right? Like this is the problem. We go on Instagram and we go on Pinterest and we see this idea of what working for yourself looks like that's curated online, and we think that's what we have to do, right? We have to be all these things. We see our life. We have this vision for our Beachbody business where we're like, okay, I just want to build up my business to where I can work from home. I want to fire my boss. I want to quit my job. I want to bring my husband home. We're all going to work from home. It's going to be glorious, right? That's what we're thinking in our head. We close our eyes and we pin things on Pinterest and we see our life in these perfect little square vignettes, right? We see like lattes with like the personal development book, but like not so much clutter that people think we're messy, but like just enough personal development book that people know that we're kind of sage, you know, like we've got some wisdom happening. We care about our intelligence. And it's a latte, but it's not like a sugary latte because we don't want to communicate that message, right? It needs to be like a matcha latte or like one that doesn't have even better, like black coffee, right? Like that is cool on Instagram, right? We've got the press sitting in like kind of out of frame, but like kind of in frame, right? To show people that we're like coffee snobs. Like we don't drink the cream and sugar. We care. Bonus points if it's third wave coffee and you actually know what farmer it came from, right? Like now we've got this new level of stuff happening. Then we have to have perfect lighting. Like all of our houses, everybody who's self-employed has houses with beautiful natural light everywhere, right? Like that's the idea. Most of us live in dark caves. Like let's just all be honest, dark caves with crappy like light bulb lighting. That's how most of us live. Most of us don't live in houses that have floor to ceiling windows everywhere and perfect marble and whitewashed wood tabletops, as Instagram would lead you to believe. Not the case. We see our life in these perfect vignettes of what a self-employed person's life should look like. But let me tell you what is not included in those vignettes. It's not the dried applesauce on the table. It's not the snot rags from your kid on the ground. It's not the Legos that you stepped on and then the curse words that came out of your mouth when you stepped on the Legos because that crap hurts, all right? It does. It is notes scribbled everywhere. It's personal development books here and there that you only half finished because, let's be honest, we get distracted by whatever next one everybody's talking about. We start that one all excited and we never actually finish it. It's all of these things, right? And so that is what real life is like. And we get in this mix and we feel this disconnect because we're like, we don't have balance. Like, I don't have this balance that everybody else has. I must be doing something wrong. I need to try harder. I need to do better. I need to work longer. I need to be a better wife. I need to be prettier. I need to have my hair done and makeup done and be tan and have no bloat and have perfectly styled kids and better lighting in all of my photos and all of this stuff that is impossible to keep up with, right? So we work ourselves into this like tornado. Like, all I can think in my head is like a bunch of like whirling dust storms, like trying to like do all of the stuff that we can't really do. And it's not true. Like, real life is what I like to call top knot because it's trendy, but it's not really a top knot. It's really just like 3-day-old hair that's just piled in a bun. And I like to call it a top knot to try and sound like I'm cool, but it's not. It's really just like a rat's nest. So how do we fix this? Like, how do we bridge this gap from one to the other? And how do we do it in a way that we're actually enjoying what we're doing? Right? Because we become coaches because something was attractive to us about this lifestyle. Something pulled at a heartstring and said, "Ooh, like maybe that," right? Like, maybe that could be my thing. That could solve problems in my life. That could give me a vehicle to reaching these other things that I want to do. That could help me in all these areas all at once. Could help me find community. It could help me earn income. It could help me pay off debt. It could help me be healthier and fitter and accountable, right? This is what we get into it for. And then we get in this and we get in the mix. We get in the mix and Pinterest lies to us and Instagram lies to us. And we start this battle where we're like, I'm never going to be able to be good at this because I can't do all of these things all at the same time and maintain the life that I still live, because not all of us are 6-figure earners who don't have any other responsibilities in our life yet, right? Like, we're thrown into the muck and the mire and the mix of what real life plus coaching plus what an Instagram idea of working from home all looks like, and we can't find how to connect them. Like, we can't figure it out. Okay, so here is how, and I am not a pro at this, you guys. Let me tell you, I trial and error this stuff all the time. But here is what has helped me, and hopefully it'll help you. And if not, maybe it'll at least move you in the right direction to help yourself. Okay, the number one thing to help you figure out this struggle of burnout and balance is knowing your why. Now, I know you guys are going to be like, ugh, we already know about knowing our why. Like, this is not helpful, Becca. Like, this is not a good call anymore. I'm out. But just stick with me because this does have a point. You have to know your why. And for those of you guys that are new, it's like number one in your new coach training, discovering your why. And your why is not to help people. I love you guys. That's not your why. That's everybody's job description, right? Like, you just can't, it's not deep enough. That's your pageant why. That's like coming up and saying you want world peace. Like, we know everybody wants world peace. Like, it doesn't count. So try again, right? Get deeper. Your real why is something that makes you almost afraid to talk about it because it's that personal. Like, you kind of don't want to talk to strangers about it because you kind of are like, I might cry, or I may look like a weirdo, and I don't really want people knowing all of this about me. That is your why. Like, if you feel like, oh, then that's really it, right? It needs to be something that will move you when you are tired, when you are exhausted, when you feel like you can't do it. Your why is what gets you across those last steps at the finish line of a marathon, right? Like, it is what powers you through. Okay, so why it's important to know your why. So here's where this is different from everything you've already heard so far about whys in coaching. So most of the time you think like, okay, I know my why powers me, my why, I keep it in the forefront of my mind, I have it on my vision board, I have it on my Pinterest board, I have it as the background on my phone, we're good. Why power, right? Like, we're all there on the whys. But here's the problem. I was listening to a call from Chalene Johnson, and I forget the name of the guy she was interviewing. I'm sorry, I should have looked it up. But I live in imbalance, y'all, so you're going to have to just deal with the ambiguity. I was listening to a call where she was interviewing this guy who's like a big business guy, and he said that he would rather work than spend time with his family. And I don't know if you guys know much about Chalene, but she is like the opposite of that sentiment. And so she was very taken aback. Right? Like, she was like, you can't believe that you would say that. Like, that's a crazy thing to say. And she was kind of offended by it. But then later she was talking on Periscope about the conversation. And she said after she thought about it, she actually really respected him more for just being honest. Because how many of us say like, no, I care about my family, my spouse, my kids, all these things. but then we don't really spend any time with them, right? So at least he was telling her the truth. And it made me think, here is where all of this came together for me. Because when I was listening to Shalene for the first time, my gut reaction, right? Like my just core, before my brain had time to shut it off and tell me that was a bad reaction, was, that's not that weird, right? Like, why would you be that upset about that? Like, so he enjoys his job. That was like my gut reaction. And then I was like, ooh, maybe a problem, because when I talk about my why, all I do is tell people about how my why is so that my family can spend more time together without having to be stressed about money or finances or all these things. Well, if that's really my why, then why am I not doing that with my time, right? Like, if that's really my why, then why, as I create more freedom in my life, is that not becoming something that takes up more time in my life? I looked at it and I thought, I do love my family, but I really love working. So what is my real why? Like, that must not be my real why. What is it? What's happening? And I realized that it was part of my why. I do love my family, and I do want to create freedom to be with them. But what I really want is to create a life where we don't have this stress about finances and all of this kind of stuff, so that I can continue to work and I can also spend time with them, yada, yada, yada. The whole idea of it was that I realized that if you are not actually honoring your why, you are going to set yourself up for all of these balance issues. And this is where you can start to make shifts that help you to avoid this. So here is the key that I found, and it really, really helps. I've been practicing this for a while, for like a little over a month now. And in that short amount of time, the turnaround has been remarkable. Now, I was not burned out. Let me be honest. I had not gotten to that point yet, but you never know what's going to happen in your life. Like, I could have very well gotten to that point if something hadn't changed, but I decided to just proactively make these changes anyway, right? Just to lead from the front, see what happened. So I said, okay, so my why is that I want to be able to go and just have fun with my family. Like, I just want to, at the drop of a hat, be able to be like, let's go to Universal. Like, let's create some memories, like moments, not things, right? Like, that's what I want to do with my family. That's been my why this whole time. But I wasn't honoring it, right? I was just working. I wasn't spending extra time with my son. I wasn't spending extra time with my husband. I wasn't carving out time to go do all of these things that I say I'm working so hard to be able to go do. So I said, step one, going to set some boundaries in my life to honor my why. So I said, I'm going to stop working on weekends. That's going to be the thing that I do. That's going to be my change. This doesn't mean that it's the right change for you. Don't hear me wrong on here. I'm not saying everybody needs to go and make the exact same changes, but just an example. I said, I'm going to start taking weekends off, and it's going to be only if there's an emergency or something that I really, like a fire I need to put out, will I do it. Otherwise, everything can wait till Monday morning. It's fine. And I'm going to release myself of the pressure of being afraid that if I don't work, I'm going to be a failure, that everything's going to fall apart, and I'm going to not have value as a person anymore, which is ridiculous to say out loud, but these are the things we think in our head. I'm going to release myself of this fear that everything's going to crumble if I'm not constantly on call. How many of you guys feel that? That's a big one. I'm going to release myself of the pressure to make sure that everybody's okay, because if I'm not there making sure they're okay, they're not going to be able to figure it out on their own. It's another big one with coaches. And I'm going to release myself of all these things, and I'm going to find a way to honor my why. And so for the last couple of weekends, we have just done fun stuff as a family. And whether it was just hanging out around town, we went to Legoland, like whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but I was unplugged, and I was fully present in my why. And do you know what happened? I have been a better coach since then, and my business has moved forward more since then. And that is the difference. That's the shift. Because when you get plugged into your why, when you find a way, and it doesn't have to be a lot of time, it could be 10 minutes, it could be one afternoon, it could be one day, one night, whatever you can fit into your life to plug you into a part of your why. What happens is your why goes from something you know in your head that you know is something you want to do to something you are actively participating in, and your journey starts to feel the way you want the destination to feel, and it becomes more exciting to live it out. So instead of us constantly looking forward and struggling, trying to get to this thing, we start enjoying the part that we're in, and then we want to do it more, and it makes us be able to get to the thing faster and more effectively and with a better spirit and a better attitude because we're enjoying ourselves more. when you get plugged into your why, it pours back into you. It's like pouring water back into a vase. Like you're pouring out all week, all day, every day, pouring out into all your responsibilities, all the people that you care for, all the things you manage. And if you never pour anything back in, eventually you're going to run out of water to pour, and that's when you get burned out. And that's when coaches stall out, when their businesses start to stall out, when they start to look at it and go, something has to give. I can't manage all this stuff in my life anymore. And then they go, okay, well, I guess I need to quit coaching. And it's such a sad thing because they really don't need to. All they need to do is find time to get plugged into their why and enjoy their life a little bit more. And then they're going to find all of this joy again in something that they found joy in before. Like we don't come into coaching under duress, hating it. We come into coaching excited and passionate and full of this joy and enthusiasm for this thing that we found in our life that makes us feel good, that we can help other people feel good. We like singing angel choruses left and right about how cool this is. So what happens to people to get from that to get to the point where they're willing to throw it all away and give it all up? Burnout happens. They've poured everything out and they haven't poured anything back in. They have nothing left to give. And you really can't blame them for their reaction because it's human nature. You hit a breaking point and you're empty. And you're like, I just can't. There's nothing else I have. I am max capacitied out. Like that's it. Something has to go. And so you look at your life and you think, what is the thing that I can get rid of? And a lot of the times for people, that's coaching. They cut it out and they think that's going to solve all the problems. And, you know, maybe it does. Maybe for some people it does. But I think that the truth of the matter is for a lot of people it doesn't, because even after they cut it out, they still don't get plugged into the thing that refills them and their spirit and their soul. And they keep going through life trying to search for new things to do it and getting burnt out, and then searching for new things to do it and getting burnt out and searching for new things and getting burnt out. And they have this cycle of starting and stopping all these hobbies and all these things, and starting them and quitting them and starting them and quitting and starting and quitting, and always being this frazzled mess across the board because they have not figured out that they're really not giving time to their passions. Like your why is really just what you're passionate about. And it doesn't have to be your family. It can be anything. It can be a hobby that you really love. It could be a charity that you love contributing to. It could be your kids. It could be a person. It could be a lifestyle you want to live. It could be anything. But you have to figure out a way to start getting plugged into it now, while you're in the journey to it. Just little bits, here and there, here and there. And what's going to happen is you're going to feel so revived by it that you come back even more excited to do the work and to make it work, right? Like that is the big thing. So how can you do this in your coaching business now? And how can you help your coaches do it? And how can I help all of you help all of them, right? We have to lead from the front. This is our opportunity to really set a standard in our team for everybody to come after, to teach people how to do this from the beginning in a really healthy way. So to me, September is this back to healthy habits. And I mean it in my own health and my own fitness and my own nutrition. And I mean it in my personal development habits, which are good for my soul. And I mean it in my business habits. So not only do I mean getting into the vital behaviors, like you saw that vital behaviors accountability group that we have. That's great and that's important. But healthy habits mean figuring out this perfect imbalance that makes really beautiful music, right? The right imbalance that makes the music sound really good. That's what we need to figure out. That's the healthy habits that I'm really passionate about figuring out right now. Let's not wait any longer. Let's start remixing the music until we get a song that works for us. And the truth of the matter is, somebody's song attracted you to this, whether it was me or your sponsoring coach or somebody else. Somebody's music that they were living, you listened to it and you thought, that sounds really beautiful and I want to take part in that. And so you got involved. Now you have a song. You have your own song. And people listen to your song and they think it sounds beautiful. And so they want to get involved too. But if you have a song that doesn't sound very good because your levels are off, you may notice that less people want to get involved. If your business is starting to stall out, you may need to look at your music and think, what levels are off? Where can I remix this a little bit? Am I a frazzled mess? Am I communicating that coaching is this super difficult, frazzled, hard to do thing because that's how I'm acting? Or am I communicating that I'm really fulfilled in my life because I'm making time for my passions, I'm living healthier than ever, I'm more plugged into community than ever? Which song sounds better, right? Which song do we want to join? Which song did we join because of? And all it takes is a little remixing. And we maybe are going to have to remix lots of times. You may have to remix every week or every month or every season or every year. And that's okay, because life is fluid and our lives change and we grow and we adapt. And all of the outside factors are constantly shifting, right? The only constant is that there will always be change. And so we have to adjust over and over and over again, but that's okay. And a thing that we need to make sure that we do is we lead this from the front. So with our own lives, we start to do it. So I want you guys to, this upcoming week, take a little bit of time to really think about your why and look at your life now and say, am I honoring what I'm saying to myself is my why? And if I'm not, why not? Is it because I'm just not doing it, like I need to make it a priority? Or is it because maybe that's not really my why? And if not, then what is? Then next, how can I carve out little areas in my life where I can honor it? I know some of you guys are so busy. I know that you're so busy. I know that the thought of one more thing makes you feel like you're going to explode and the Jenga tower is going to come crumbling down around you. But I promise that if you can figure out a way to start honoring your why, everything is going to feel lighter. Everything else will feel lighter. You're going to be more plugged into who you really are and what you really want, and it's going to make everything else better and easier. So if you have to take your personal development time this week, those 10 minutes a day, and if you're so busy that you literally cannot carve out an extra 10 minutes for your why, then make your personal development time this week plugging into your why, because I think that will help you develop just as much as reading something or listening to an audiobook. And plug into your why. If your why is yoga, go do it during the time you'd carve out for personal development. If your why is spending time with your spouse, then go and watch a show together or go out to eat together or something instead of your personal development. Whatever you have to do to plug into it this week, top priority. And I promise you that you're going to feel a shift. You're going to feel a shift so soon that's going to make you so much more excited about everything in your life, about this business and the potential it has. Because once you start living your why, you want more of it. Like you're like, oh, that feels really good when I'm doing that. Let's figure out ways to do that more. And then you're going to be excited about making other people have an opportunity to feel that too. And talking about this business opportunity is not going to be awkward anymore, because you're going to be like passionate, on fire about what you're doing and helping other people get there too. It all starts to plug in together. That work-life fit instead of work-life balance. Next, you're going to have to set some boundaries, just like I did. Your boundaries may be different than mine, and that's fine. They may be, completely unique to you. There's not one right set of boundaries. I can't tell you wake up an hour earlier because it doesn't work for everybody. I can't tell you take weekends off. That doesn't work for everybody. Whatever works for you is fine. For me, my boundary was to take weekends off, because I don't love a set schedule during the week. I don't have a set power hour. I don't have set work hours, because I like to work when I feel inspired to work, and that's just my style, and that's fine. Some of you guys love power hours and you crank it out, man. You are on fire during focus time, and that's good for you. Whatever your boundaries are, set them. Set some clear boundaries for yourself and for your why. Next, you have to remember that you can't confuse the command to love and the idea of helping others with a compulsive desire to people please. Let me say it again. You can't confuse the command to love and our job as coaches to help others with a compulsive desire to please other people. So sometimes the most loving thing that you can do is tell somebody no in a loving way, with all the love you have in your heart for them. You have to tell them no. If somebody asks you something, if they ask you to do something and your gut reaction isn't heck yes, then it needs to be a no if you're really busy and frazzled. Those are your two options. If you say yes to something and it doesn't make you excited about it, you're going to regret it the whole time. You're going to do it begrudgingly. It's going to make you sacrifice other areas that could be making you feel better. And you're not going to do a very good job at it. Like, let's be honest. If you're doing something you don't want to do, you're not going to be your most passionate, happy, alive, energized self. And the person that you're doing it for, it's not going to be a great experience for them either. So just in love, say, I can't take that on right now, but I'd love to help you maybe in the future, or love to help you find somebody that can help you with that, whatever it is. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for other people is to say no, because you are of no use to yourself or them if you are pouring yourself empty without any time to pour back in. Telling them yes as an empty vessel does not help them. Telling them no so that they can find another better suited person or better able person at that point to do it is loving. That is you showing care for somebody. So set some boundaries. If it doesn't make you say, heck yes, then say, I'm sorry, no, not right now. That has to be what it is. Repeat which phrase? I don't know which one I said. Don't confuse that one. Don't confuse the command to love and our desire. Okay, don't confuse the command to love and our job as coaches to help people with a compulsive desire to people please. They're two different things. Two very different things. And I know that as women, we deal with this a lot. We are by nature the nurturers. We want to make sure everybody's taken care of. We want to make sure everybody feels good. But sometimes it really is the most loving thing to say no. You know that old adage, like, if mama happy, ain't nobody happy? Sometimes you have to make sure mama stays happy. You know what I mean? Okay, guys, that is the end. I hope that something struck a chord with you because I really, really, really want to make this a foundational thing in our team. I really want to make sure that as we grow our businesses, we are growing in healthy ways where we are fulfilled along the whole journey. We're not scraping by trying to get to diamond because we think once we get to diamond, we're going to feel better. And we get to diamond and we realize our habits weren't healthy. So we're just as unhealthy at diamond as we were before. I don't want that. I want us to be healthy the whole way. So if you guys have any questions, I'm going to open it only for 10 minutes for questions because I really want to keep us under an hour total. And then if you have more questions, you can ask them in the team page on the thread that's about this call, and we can talk about it there. But this is definitely going to be something I talk about more as time goes on. I really want it to be something we start to incorporate from the beginning. After the team, I'm not working after 11. That's not one of my boundaries. I do sometimes, but Nate's leaving for Colorado tomorrow at like 4, so I want to hang out with him before he leaves. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about what I talked about tonight, about how it affects your life, about any of that stuff? You can unmute yourself, or you can type it in the chat if you're nervous about talking. Congratulations, Vanessa. Oh, let me stop recording so everybody can